Good day, everybody, and welcome to our art appreciation. This is Soksai 100, and today I'm going to be giving this lecture to you. So, this lecture is on Module 1, Introduction to Arts. And the lessons that we're going to talk about in this is the first one, Introduction to Humanities, Defining Arts. We're going to talk about the nature of arts, assumptions of arts, and the functions of arts as well. Right? So let us begin our lecture. By first, I want you to react, or rather, to reflect on this question of who am I? Okay, or who are you? Have you ever had the time in your life where you questioned about your identity? Or have you ever asked about who are you? What are you doing in this world? And why are you here? And out of all the people in the world, why do you exist? And why are you a human being and not a rock? Okay, have you ever had those questions before in your life? Okay, so I think maybe you did, all right, or maybe you did not. But this question is actually very important to answer because sometimes we don't really understand what our purpose in the world is, and that's why we lose our reason to live. So something like that. So we don't like to live anymore, and this usually causes us to think about depressive things in life. All right. So what leads people to question this one or to ask about this one? Okay, number one, there are some adjustments that we have to take in life. There are some tragedies in our family. For example, a loss of a loved one that sometimes brings us to question of about why are you alive and not dead. Okay, or sometimes you have your identity crisis. I don't know about um the LGBT community. Okay, but I am sure that if you've ever um had your identity crisis or had an identity crisis, then you would probably have asked yourself about who you are and what you're doing in the world, or why did God make you into the way you are. Okay, or I mean, why did God allow you to be to have woman feelings when you are clearly a man, or the other way around? Okay, or maybe your this question came out because of um what do you call this, of the question of purpose. Okay, or you don't know what to do, or maybe for those who are older, for those who went over college already or past college already, you are confused about what passion to pursue in this life. All right, so is it important to answer this question? Of course it is very important. Okay, so sometimes we find our identity in our beliefs or what we believe. Okay, for example, maybe if you believe in God, maybe you will say that your identity is you are a child of God. Okay, or maybe what you believe later on as your identity is your role in your families or your friends, within your friends. All right, so again, this question has been asked by man, and man has tried to answer this question for a very long period of time. And maybe some of them succeeded, but maybe some of them did not. So, for example, if we are trying to answer this question, um, maybe we get to really build an identity for ourselves. So, for example, Groot. Okay, so maybe in the end of our life, maybe we can say that I am Groot. I was purely a villain, a hardcore one, and then I found a little bit of an enlightenment. Okay, so that is what I am. I am not entirely good, but I am not entirely bad either. Okay, and finding who you are doesn't end. As long as you are alive, you will always find another identity for yourself, or rather, you will always realize that there is a characteristic or a personality within you that has been changing all throughout the years. Okay, now this question actually has inspired people, okay, to um, understand about what it is to be human. So in the quest of finding who we are of or what man is, there are recordings. So we begin to record about who we are. Okay, so this study of man is what we call humanities. Okay, so I mean trying to study how it is to be human is what we call humanities. And humanities are the records of man's quest for answers to the fundamental questions about himself and about life. And so um what do you call that? Okay, again, these are records. And so we a lot of studies or fields of studies have popped out from this question in from this desire to identify who man is. Okay? And why is it important for us to study about humanities? Because humanities answers again the primary question of our identity. We need to find an identity for ourselves, and at the same time, humanity gives us a way to appreciate the good, the true, and the beautiful in our lives. And of course, humanities are aimed. The studies of humanities are aimed to shape your your subjective energy. So when we talk about subjective energies, we mean your feelings, your attitudes, your aspirations. So when we say a subjective, it is somewhat it is different with all of the people. Okay, so um what do you call this? Why is it important to study about your feelings, about your attitudes, or about your aspirations? Why does there have to be a separate study to talk about that? That is because we cannot truly um, have a grasp of it all through our own. Okay, so we have to study about the studies that were made by other people or older people in this lifetime. Okay, now we go to the point now of comparing the sciences and the humanities. So why are these to be compared? Because both of them are very important. Okay, so science are studies dealing with the external world of man as well as the facts. Okay, so under science, science works can be measured, they can be observed, they can be accurate, and it enables, because of science, it enables man to understand and control nature to make life more comfortable and convenient. So science, because of science, we try to understand the climate, we try to understand the seasons, we try to understand our composure as a human being. I mean, the body parts, the anatomy of the human being. We try to understand how this world came to be. So that is science. That is what it is trying to answer. So um, courses under science are nursing, we have medicine, we have engineering, we have accounting, and we have psychology. So again, they are very objective. They can be measured. As compared to this time, the humanities. So what are humanities? Humanities, on the other hand, deal with man's internal world, with his personality and experiences. Again, just like his aspirations, just like his dreams, what is in his heart, what is in his mind, and what is um, important to the man. All right. So in humanities, it cannot be measured, naman. And in humanities, there is no silver lining, or there is no one, what do you call this? There is not one statement that can be made. So what does it mean? Um, uh, it depends, okay? The study depends on every individual situation. That's what it means, okay? So studies under humanities include education, we have history, we have anthropology, language, we have fine arts, we have literature, we have the law also. Okay, and together with the sciences and humanities, between rather science and humanities, there is not one that is more important than the other. Okay, so we cannot say science is more important than humanities, or that we don't have to study about humanities, we only have to study about science. Okay, and why is that? Because again, um we are talking about your internal feelings, so you need to understand yourself in order for you to function in this society, in order for you to fulfill your role. Okay, so that is why we need the humanities. All right, and so the science and the humanities, they work together for humans to have a better understanding, okay, of their life or about life. All right. Now, we go to the next one then. It's arts. And what has arts got to do with all the sciences and the humanities discussion? So arts is under humanities, obviously. Okay, because it is talking about man's feelings and stuff. Okay, and why arts? The arts is the expression of man. Okay, so you have humanities, you want to study about the internal energies of people, but how are you going to express that? You are expressing it to art, through arts. So we now define art by beginning with its etymology or the origin of its word. So arts came from the Latin word ars, which means skill. Okay, and it is equivalent to the Greek word techne, where technology was derived from. So during the classical period or the ancient times, they used arts to mean craftsmanship and proficiency in performing any activity. So that's craftsmanship. And when we talk about craftsmanship, it is the skill to create something. Okay, and proficiency, so proficiency means you are good at it, you are competent at doing what you are doing. Okay, so before, arts was used to talk about the art of medicine, the art of agriculture, the art of military, art of war, the art of cooking, all of those arts. Okay, however, of course, it has now evolved. It has the others became sciences, and the others became social sciences, and now we have arts only for itself. Arts to mean, okay, art now means it is a formal expression of a considered human experience. Okay, so listen to that expression. These are your root words. There has to be an expression, and then there has to be an experience, and two more, it has to have form and it has to have content. Okay, what does it mean by form? It takes form, it takes shape. For example, the paintings that we see, the sculpture that we see, the song that we hear, so it takes form, and at the same time content. And what does content mean? Content means the meaning. Okay, so again, just like we said, what we said last time from Aristotle, it says art has an outward appearance, that is the form, but at the same time, it has its inward significance, that is the content or the meaning. All right. Okay, so that is arts. Again, very important to take in mind it, and it's an expression. It comes from your experiences, and it has a form and content. All right, so we go to the nature of arts this time. So when we talk about nature, we mean the undebatable characteristics of something or of art in this manner. So for example, we know the word human nature, so it's like it's undeniably a part of us. It's human nature that we have a good side and we have a bad side. Okay, it's human nature that we get jealous. It's human nature that we get hurt. Okay, that we have feelings. Yan. So now let's look naman sa nature of arts. And the first one being art is universal. So when we mean to say universal, of course, it involves the universe. Okay? And what does it mean to be universal? Art exists in all forms of human society. So it exists everywhere as long as there are humans, in every generation. Okay, in every generation. So since prehistoric times, as long as there's human, of course, it proceeds until now. Okay, so every generation has an art, every human society has an art, and because again it serves some fundamental human needs, and that need is the need to express ourselves. That's why we have arts. Okay, and what is the purpose of arts? Okay, number one, um what do you call this, to lessen the boringness, the boredom rather, the boredom of our environment, and to help alleviate our feelings after a tired day. Okay, and of course to make life more interesting. Now, when we talk about arts again, it is universal. And why is that? Because everyone in the world get to have an understanding of an art, even if we do not know its origins. So for example, in this painting, okay, so this is called The Scream by Edward Munich. Okay, and it is about anxiety. It is about um, insanity rather. So this is a guy here, and then he screamed, and then there are people passing by, but he does not mind them. Okay, so that must mean that maybe there is something wrong in this guy here. Now, why is it universal again? Because the theme it is trying to communicate is something relatable, so we can relate to it. Okay, what are usually the themes of arts? The themes of arts are feelings, are emotions again. So we understand what love is, we understand what hurt is, what we understand what joy is. That is why it is universal, because we relate to it. Okay. All right. Next one. The another nature of art is that it expresses and it communicates. Okay, of course, number one, again, it expresses, and why is that? Because no one man can contain an emotion for so long. So out of man's need to express themselves, they reveal something significant, and that is an art. Okay, so but again, expression in art is not limited to the revelations of emotions. So hindi lang naman emotions ang napoproduce natin or napapalabas natin when we are doing an art. What else? We have our personality, lumalabas personality natin, and at the same time our social values. Okay, so social values. So what do we hold dear? What are our beliefs? Ano ba yung pinapanindigan natin? Ano yung, what do we believe to be right or wrong? Ayan. And at the same time, it communicates. Parang language lang yan. Language is used for communication. But how is art used for communication? So in language, we have the letters. So these are symbols naman ang letters. The letters go together to form words. And the words still are symbols, but they are used to mean something. So parang sa art yan. So merong ginagamit ang artist na symbols. Okay, which he organizes, puts together, and organizes into some comprehensible equivalent. Inorganize niya para maintindihan, and then for him to be able to convey or to express the experience that he is trying to express. So parang ano yan, parang language lang din. Okay, and in language, we have the sender of the message, we have the message that the sender is trying to communicate, and we have the receiver. Now, if the message reached the sender correctly, or nakuha ni sender ang ibig sabihin ng nakuha ni receiver ang ibig sabihin ng sender, then there is communication. Now, the same thing in arts. So the artist makes the message through his painting or through his work, and then the audience or the viewer will see this one, and then they will understand kung ano yung message ng artist. However, in arts naman, sometimes the artist just makes the art out of the need to express themselves. So sometimes they don't mean to communicate. They don't mean to send a message. They just want to express what they are thinking of. Okay? So not all arts, or I mean just because hindi siya nag-send ng message at hindi dumating dun sa sender, I mean sa receiver, it does not mean that it is not art anymore. Okay? So, ganun yun. So, again, art expresses and it communicates. Okay, and the third nature of art, okay, and that is art records history and it reflects reality and culture. So, it is mostly accidental. Ang ginagawa lang naman ng mga artists during this time, let's say this Egyptian time, was they were just painting it. Why? Upon the orders of the pharaoh, or because it is just their job, or because it is their passion that they have created this painting, for example. However, they did not take into mind, or they did not consider na this will serve as a historical piece in the future. So wala yun sa isip nila, but they were just doing their job. So in a way, artists become historians, although they don't mean to be historians. Okay, and so at this point, art is an expression of a general vision of the age in which it was created. So when we say that, um, general vision of the age in which it was created, again, it depicts what happened during this time. Okay, and what is the usual na ginagamit na type of art dito? It's either it is, excuse me, a painting or it is literature. So literature are written texts naman. So either way. And then with art, the beliefs, the culture, and practices of community is preserved. So thanks to the art that preserved this, that what do you call this? Na-reserve ang practice, ang beliefs, ang culture, okay, of a certain community or a certain place. Okay, and then through the arts also, maybe there are times na they have presented the literature or the art in quite a challenging way. So parang they want to challenge a belief during the time that it was created, and that is how they presented it in their artwork or in their piece. All right. So again, art records history and reflects reality and culture. Now, if you're having any questions about this ones, please do note them down, and then maybe you can send me a message in Canvas. Okay, to ask about this one. Okay, next one. We go, that's the third nature. We go this time to the assumptions of art. So when we say assumption is a statement that is accepted as true or as certain to happen without proof. So you don't need the proof. It just is. It is just true. Okay, next. So the first one is that art is subjective. So when we say subjective, it means it cannot be measured. Parang yung sinasabi natin kanina, the humanities, the um subjective things like feelings, like um what do you call this, values, like personalities. So it is subjective. And in art, we have what we call the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And that means that beauty varies in individuals. So iba-iba yan. So from me to you, iba yung kinoconsider natin na beautiful. From a person of a different culture to another culture, iba yung beautiful sa kanila. And then from even a person, a young person to the older version of that person, iba din yung kinoconsider ninyo as beautiful. Okay, and then these are different because of the different influences around us, like the family, like the society, the fashion, the trend that we are following. Okay. So, for example, in this picture, maybe some of you will say, I like Mona Lisa better than Frida Kahlo. Okay. Or I like Frida Kahlo better than Mona Lisa. And at the end of the day, nobody's choice is lesser than the other. Bakit? Kasi maganda yun para sa'yo. Okay, maganda yun para sa kanya. Now, when it comes to music naman, I personally don't fancy. I mean, I like music, but I particularly don't like metal rock music. Okay, so para kasi siyang parang mga zombies, ganon na they are trying to attack you already and they're making that sound and or otherwise parang nagkikis-kis na metal. All right, so it's not good to me, but for others it is good for them. So I cannot say na rock music or metal rock music is ugly. Okay, otherwise uh I will invalidate what others value to be beautiful. Okay, and another example of that is this one. Okay, so this one is called The Fontaine by Marcel Duchamp. Okay, and it's obviously a urinal for boys. Okay, and it was displayed in a gallery and they have considered it as an art. So I don't understand why that is considered an art. I mean, I don't really consider it an art, but they do. And why is that? Because it comes from existing things and it has a design on its own. Okay, and we get to later understand that in the functions of arts. Okay, and then in arts, there is always there is the misconception that art is always beautiful. So what people consider to be beautiful may be this one. Maybe it is sunny, maybe it is warm, maybe it gives you calm feeling. So parang music lang yan eh. Parang um how I how I differentiate my music is if it's pleasing to the ear, then it's music. But if it's not pleasing to the ear, and then it's noise, parang ganon. So parang this is the music. It has to be pleasing, it has to be beautiful, it has to be calm. Okay, so this is the Sunflower by Vincent van Gogh. But maybe this is what people consider as beautiful. But let's look at the second painting here. So this time is The Nightmare by Henry Fuseli. So can we therefore say that this is not an art because its theme is gory, because it is dark, because it's not pleasing, it's appalling. Parang it's you just want to stay away from it because it doesn't really look good. It's actually quite disturbing. Okay, so but again, just because this is pleasing and this is not, doesn't disqualify this to be an art. It is still an art. Okay, and so therefore when we talk about beauty in art, beauty can then maybe considered as the result the result of the successful organization of lines, color, shapes, and space in order to convey an idea or emotion. So what tops it at the end of the day? Again, there is expression in that art. Okay? In-express yan ng artist. And at the same time, successful organization. Parang the elements, the color, the line, the shape that you use, you put them all together and they make sense. Ganon. So it's a successful organization of all of those elements. And that is the beauty in arts. Okay, so that's what we mean by art should be beautiful or it should be pleasing. Okay, next, the second assumption in art is that art involves experience. So art can never be without experience. So it says here, experience yields art as art gives birth to new experience. What does it mean? Because of experience, art is created. Okay, because of experience, art can exist. And then because of art or because of doing the art, we have new experiences. So vice versa. There is experience, there is art. There is art, there is experience. And how is that? So we have 4 different experiences that are involved when it comes to art. Okay, and the first one is, of course, the first one, the experience that has inspired the artwork. So from the artist ito. And then, as the artist does the art or the work of art, he expresses his experience as he creates the art. So there is an expression. So this is the act of expressing it. Okay, so as you are doing the art, you are learning something, you are aware of the thoughts that are happening in your mind, or you are aware of the technique that you are putting into action. So where this can serve as a learning experience for your next artwork naman. Okay, and then the third experience that the artist goes through is he experiences or she experiences gratification as the art is completed. So parang tapos na yung art, now you're just going to observe it, and then there is the feeling of satisfaction within you. So you are happy about it, you are feeling good about it. Okay, and then the last one is actually the experience this time of the audience or the viewer. So the audience, on the other hand, they experience or they undergo another experience when they are looking at the work of art. They are trying to take it in. So it's an experience for them. So maybe it's the first time they see something so wow, or they see something so gory or something so appalling. Okay, so it's another experience for the viewers. So those are your 4 experiences. And then under the experiences also, there are different responses. Okay, for you to be able to experience art to the maximum, you undergo 3 different responses. Okay, and the first one is what we call the sensorial responses. So this sensorial means it involves the senses. So you have your eyes, your nose, your ears to perceive it, to take it in. And parang at that point, you just say, oh, it's beautiful. It's just like looking at or seeing a beautiful lady passing by. Uy, maganda siya. Or maybe looking at a guy passing by and say, uy, matangkad siya or guwapo siya. Okay, but at this point you're just viewing, so you don't need to dig deeper into that person, parang ganon. So it's just a passing thing, just wow, appreciate mo lang first yan, first stage. Okay, and then the next one is what we call the emotional response. So the emotional response happens through a stimulation of memory. So it can be through memory. For example, you've seen a photograph in the gallery or in the museum, and this photograph has reminded you of maybe your past because the picture in the photograph is somewhere you have visited in the past. And then you suddenly feel the familiar hurt that you felt at that time, a long time ago. Okay, and then maybe under the emotion as well, you are undergoing empathy, okay? And empathy is your ability to put your feet in the shoes of others, or to feel for them, to know what they are going through. So for example, this usually happens in a play or stage arts or in a film. So maybe umiiyak yung main character, and so you get to emote with them, to empathize with them. And so suddenly mamaya umiiyak ka na din. Okay? And then the last one is the intellectual experience or response. So the intellectual response happens when we want to dig deeper into the art or dig deeper into the truth. Ano ba yung sinasabi ng art na to? Or ano ba yung meaning ng art na to? What is the message of the artist in doing this one? Okay, so you also maybe you are going to analyze the artwork. Okay, so ano ba yung mga techniques na ginamit ng artist na to? Or ano ba yung um, for example, sa film, ano ba yung lessons na natutunan mo from the characters or from the story, and how does this help you become a better person? Parang ganon. So, intellectual response yan. Okay, so again, art involves experience from the artist and then the viewer. So art is supposed to be experienced. Okay, next one. Okay, the third one is art is not nature. Nature is not art. Okay, so nature inspires art, but art will never be equivalent to nature. Okay, now we look at this picture, and even this picture is actually a work of art. So what is nature talaga? Nature is seeing the real thing, seeing the real lotus, seeing the real pond, seeing the real person, or experiencing the the experience, not through the experience of others, not second hand, pero experience mo yourself. Okay, so again, nature yan. The closest thing that we can do to adapt nature is, number one, take a picture, this one, and write a story, write an autobiography or a biography. But even so, autobiographies and biographies are not that close. So it can never be nature. Okay, and why is that? Because there is human intervention. So there is human intervention. So that was nature, but because there was human intervention, it became an art. Now, what is nature? It is made by God. What is art? It is made by man. Now, what makes nature so different? What makes it so special that it can never be art? Number one, because it has its own life. It breathes, it grows, it transforms, it dies. Meanwhile, art is just capturing the moment. So there is no growth, there is no transition with the art, nothing. Okay, it has no life at all. All right, and then we have a question before. We have had it in our previous activity when we answered the question, if you are a work of art, what are you? Okay, wait, I'll just discuss that later. All right, so we go to the next part under the art, and art can be used to improve nature naman. So that is the difference naman of art. So art can be used to improve nature. Okay, and who makes the improvement? Again, it is man. So this is nature, okay, without interventions, without change, without handwork from man. And then after being injected with art, nature became this. Okay, so it is designed thanks to man who designed it. Okay, so again, art is not nature, nature is not art. Then how about man? Okay, so again, I said last time, our activity last time was, what was that? If you were a work of art, what would you be and why? That's the question. Now, the question therefore now is, what are you? Are you an art or are you nature? Okay, and we discussed this in other classes, and there were various responses. Of course, they are opposing. So I am nature because God made me. I refuse to be an art um because I grow, because I breathe. Okay, and then some of them also consider themselves as an art. Okay, and why is that? Because there is intervention. Okay, from people. All right. So for me, I can say that undeniably people are nature. Why is that? Because God made you. Okay, because you grow, you breathe, you die one day. Okay, but can you also be considered an art? Yes, you are. And why is that? Because there is an intervention. And besides, you are hypothetically man-made ka din naman. Okay, you are still man-made, but not only physically, but because man injects a lot of his or her ideals in you. So parang man is also trying to shape you. Para kang nagiging art ka na rin because you are influenced, okay, or rather, you are uh, patterned, okay, you are nurtured after the previous generation's belief of what man is to be. So for me, man is the only exception. That's why we have what we call the nature and the nurture. Okay, but if you want to share your ideas about this one, you may go ahead. I'll put it in the discussion for you to be able to answer that. Okay, or if you want to send me again a Canvas message, go ahead and do that. All right, so those are the three assumptions of art. Number one, art is universal. Number two, art involves experience. Number three, art is not nature and nature is not art. Okay, now the third one, the last one for today, we have the functions of art. So when we talk about functions, what is the use of it? Why do you need it? Why do you have it? Okay, so it has been it was debatable. Um, there are some people who believe that um, what do you call this? Art can function as for example, we have the spoon or we have the chair that we are sitting on. So that is a work of art because obviously it is craft, it is a handiwork. Okay, but at the same time, it functions. And how does it function? Because it supports you when you are sitting down and it is designed so that you can sit on it comfortably like that. Okay, but also and then they questioned what is the function of a painting, what is the function of a sculpture, what is it for? There's nothing practical that we can use it with. Okay, and so they have tried to divide it into two. There is what we call the functional arts, the ones with practical uses, and the non-functional arts, the ones that are not practical or don't have practical uses. Okay, so would you still consider it an art, even if, I mean, would you still consider it something that has a function? Does it have a use then, if it's not something to be used in practical ways? Okay, and of course it is. Okay, all arts have functions. For man, who is the maker, creates, the man creates this art because he has a particular need for them. Kaya niya ginawa. And again, what is the need again? Because man needs to express himself through the arts. So let us not underestimate the use of those arts. Okay, and the number one function of arts is the personal function. Okay, so art enables us to find ourselves and lose ourselves at the same time. So how is that? Okay, so first of all, again, from the perspective of the artist, you are expressing yourself, you are trying to discover something, and then you use it for the personal function. For example, if you are just reading it, if you just want to revel in it, you just want to enjoy it, you just want to find enlightenment in it. Okay, and then of course, because of art, a personal function of art is to make connections, okay, with people and to make connections with the artist as well. Yeah, so that is the personal function of art. Excuse me. Okay, and then we have the next one. We have the social functions of art. So how does art function to affect us as a whole, as people, all together, parang ganon. Not individual anymore, but all together. Okay, and number one, it influences our human behavior. So when we talk about that, many works of arts influence the way we think, the way we feel, or the way we act. So I want you to think of maybe an art or a photograph or a story that has really made you reflect on your life or want to change. Do you have stories like that, arts like that? If you do, that is a good thing. Okay, so what do you call this? Art is influencing you. Okay, but that is, but since we are talking about the social functions, we are talking about how does it influence us as a whole. So parang ganun. So dapat you and me all together. Yeah, so the first one, we have here a picture and it is a picture of a boy. So obviously the thing that is being portrayed here is poverty, it is hunger. Okay, so that is what is portrayed here in the picture. And the purpose of this is to make us realize as a whole to find humanity again. Okay, that's used for humanitarian reasons. Okay, and another one, so aside from that, humanitarian reasons, we also have political reasons. Okay, so this is Ring o' Roses. This is a nursery rhyme that came from London. So the tune was like this, if in case you don't remember. Ring around a ring a roses, a pocket full of posies, a tissue, we all fall down. Right, so if you just listen to it, it doesn't seem, it seems so innocent lang. Innocente lang siya, parang wala namang other meaning. Okay, but since it was used or it was written um during the 1665, that is the Black Death or the plague, it was a pandemic, parang ganun, parang COVID lang din, and it killed a lot of people. So this actually means more than it appears. So the roses are like they are the rashes that they see in their skin. The posies are like preventive medicine or herbs that they are trying to help themselves. Okay, and then a tissue. So this is like an act of sneezing. So these are symptoms, other symptoms of the disease. Okay, and then we all fall down. So this one, this time it could mean the death of everybody. So we all die in the end because of this. So again, it's like nursery rhyme lang siya. It is innocent, but really, it means more than that. Okay, and then the last one, and it's very effective, that changes our human behaviors, are commercial and advertising ads. So for example, may nakita lang tayong 30% sale, or it's a poster na sinasabing sale, sale, sale in SM. Gustong-gusto na natin pumunta doon. Okay? Just like this one. So this is a work of art, which I really like. This is very creative. This is in the dentist's office. So parang door. So parang sinasabi niya, before our health, this is how it looks like, and then after our health, naging ganito. So probably if you are at the door, parang you find it funny, and suddenly napapalitan yung decision mo. So instead of not wanting it, you just want to have that again. Okay, or a very famous way of commercial ads, yung the use of artists to promote your to promote your product. So that is also very effective. Okay? Yan. So the second, under the social function still, is for display and celebrations. Okay, so for example, what we have here is a picture of a hero to depict heroism, because that is what we want to happen in this society. That is what we want to appear in this society. That is what we want to na lumabas, na i-take into mind ng mga estudyante, okay, or people. And then they serve to record important historical events and celebrate events with loved ones. So display yan, celebrations natin, we have a lot. We have rituals and we have festivals. So parang minsan, minsan it's impractical to make a lot of decorations just for one day or just for even 3 hours, ganon. But still, this is what makes us us. This is enjoyment for us, and that's why we make all of these, okay, to celebrate celebrations and for display. Okay, and the third one is the social descriptions. So again, it reflects society. The arts describe aspects of existence at certain periods. So it tackles about what we appear to be, or our class standings. So just like this one, this is how an ilustrado looks like a long time ago. This is how a monarch in China looks like a long time ago. And this is how the peasants dress like a long time ago. Okay? So ganon ang mga social functions. All right, and then the third one is the physical function, or the practical function this time. And under physical functions, we have the form and the function. So what does this mean? It refers to how the function or the use of an object matches its form, matches its look. So how does it look like? Bakit ganito ang design niya? Why? Because that is the best way it is to be presented para ma-serve niya yung function niya. Okay, so this is a teacup. So it is small because hindi naman tayo naglalaklak ng tea just like we do with coffee. Okay, and it has a handle here. Okay, a dainty handle because medyo pa-social kasi ang tea party, ganon. Okay, and then the next one here, so we have different designs for the spoon. Why? Because these different spoons have different uses as well. So dapat, for example, this is a teaspoon. So dapat maliit lang siya kasi maliit naman yung teacup. And then this is a big spoon for you. And this is a ladle so you can get the soup para maano niya. Right? So dapat functional siya, at the same time yung design niya according to its function naman. Okay, and then we have the architectural designs also. Bakit ang mga buildings natin ay na-design in the way they are designed? Okay, it must suit, the way it looks like must suit the building's purpose and its surroundings. Okay, so for example, this one, it's the Eiffel Tower. Okay, so the Eiffel Tower. So this was made. It was built to serve as the entrance gateway to the International Exposition back in 1889. So this existed even before sa 1889 pa. So it is really just for exposition. Kaya ganito ang itsura niya. Okay, and then this is a house and it is designed that way. So it is a cabin in the woods. It is made of wood, number one, because wood is practical, and a house the made of wood is actually better in this place. Okay, and the building that we are creating must cater also to the surroundings or the climate that we have. Okay, now for example, bakit ganito ang design ng pang-expo at hindi ganito? Sorry. Bakit ganito? Rather, ang design ng bahay mo at hindi ganito? Okay, do you think it's practical to live in a place like this? In a tower like this? I don't think so. So, in physical function naman, it's very important that the design or the form fits the function. So the function is actually more important than the design. Okay? So parang yung urinal kanina, yung The Fountain by Duchamp, that is under here sa physical function. Ganun ang itsura niya because it is the best way to design a man's urinal. Okay? Yan. So those are the functions of art. Okay, so today we have talked about, again, humanities. Humanities. We have defined arts. We have talked about the nature of arts, assumption of arts, and the functions of arts. Therefore, from all of these topics that we talked about today, I want you to do your task 1.1, and this is an art photo quote. So, what is this all about? Okay, so again, we talked about all of those. While art is an expression of a person's emotions, morals, intellectual capacities, experiences, beliefs, how what is art for you? So parang how does it serve you? Do you think it is important to you? How important is it? What is its importance in your life? Okay, so I want you to create a quote about that. You're going to design that and you put it in a photo, just like what we have here. So you may use photos from Google to design it, but you may also use your own photos. Okay, and then you're going to submit it in Canvas by clicking the upload media. So there is no need to type anything. Wala actually. You're just going to submit the quote or the photo. So it's either JPEG siya or PNG siya. Okay? Or kung ayaw talaga, pwedeng PDF naman. Oh, actually, media lang pala yung tinatanggap niya. So, dapat picture talaga siya. Okay, so for example, again, this is what I made. It says, it is with art that I witnessed twilight welcome the dawn. So the visual there is twilight, so darkness all over siya. But because art came, the light broke through. So parang there is enlightenment, there is understanding, there is light. Ganon. Okay, so it's not just for me maybe, but this is what I perceive art to be after all of the discussion and the readings that I've made. Okay, so your criteria for this one is number one, your originality of thought. So it shouldn't have been said. Maybe siguro pinaraphrase nyo kasi same naman ang ibig sabihin sa inyong buhay, but still malalaman at malalaman yan. Okay? And then the creativity of design. So since this is art appreciation, I want you to take out your creative juices. You have to work on it. Dapat the best ang gagawin nyo. Okay? Just have to give it your best. And so this is all 20 points. So deadline ng submission ninyo is in your Canvas. Kindly check it out. For those who are going to do it, who are scheduled on Friday, I mean, for those who are scheduled in Saturday, your due date is on Monday. For those who are scheduled, who are watching the recorded video on Friday, you are supposed to submit this tomorrow. Okay. Now let's look at this one. This is another quote, but the art is, I just put the quote here. Okay, this is, it says art is a way of survival. So for Yoko Ono, for her, for this person, art is a way of survival. It is a way of, it is, again, there is a need to express yourself. And so in order for you to fight your demons, you have to use art. And that is the only way that you can survive. Okay. Now, you also have another activity for this one. I hope you really listen to this one, to this lecture, so that you can truly understand it. So there's another one. It is Exit Slip 1, Introduction to Art. This is a quiz. Quiz, simple lang naman. It's true or false. And it's just 10 points. Okay, this is a test of how well you understood our discussion of the humanities and art. Read and understand each sentence carefully. Choose true if the statement is true and false if the statement is false. 10 points lang ito, but you have to do it within the given time. Okay, otherwise you will have deductions. Okay, so that is our module 1, Introduction to Art. I apologize that I cannot meet you right now. There have been changes in my schedule. Okay, and your schedule as well for those who are scheduled on Wednesday. All right, so I hope that you'll be able to do that, and I will see you again next week. This time it's not recorded. I will see you live. All right, so thank you everybody and goodbye.